For some people, going to a pawn shop may be a familiar experience. For others, they may not know too much about it, or what they do know could be wrong. Delmarva Life's Brian Spiros visited Crazy Louie's pawn shop in Salisbury to find out the do's and the don'ts and how a pawn shop actually works. Take a look at this.
Pawn shops exist in pretty much every community. You've probably been inside or driven by one at some point.
30 years ago, going to a pawn shop was kind of a scary place versus now people realize it's not really that scary at all.
Steve Kottman is the general manager of Crazy Louie's pawn shop in Salisbury. He says there are some misconceptions when it comes to the way a pawn shop works.
A lot of people think that pawn means that you're going to sell your item versus some other people think that pawn means you're actually going to get a loan. And so we try to just steer clear from that word entirely and just say, hey, do you want to come back for it or do you want to get rid of it?
Would you give me for that?
All right, let's see.
If you choose to get rid of it, cash changes hands and you walk out the door. But if you're looking for a loan, the process works a little differently.
Now, when you do that, what we're going to do is we're going to give you a little bit less money probably, but we're going to put it in the back room for 30 days. And then you can come back at any point during those 30 days and pick up your item if you want. Don't come back for it, then that's fine. We'll just put it out for sale and give up on you a little bit.
Browsing through Crazy Louie's, you will find just about everything from DVDs to power tools, furniture to electronics, musical instruments to jewelry. Think what you have sitting around isn't worth anything? Steve says they look at pretty much anything that comes through the door.
We'll mess with almost anything. If it's an antique, if it's something different, if it's a rare baseball card, if it's a collectible, if it's something just weird and different.
The day we were there, a customer came in with this old camera. After doing some research, the folks at Crazy Louie's were able to pinpoint it as a 1950s Rolleiflex camera made in Germany. And with that information, the owner decided to hold on to it. And with shows like Pawn Stars, Steve says he has seen a renewed interest in pawn stores.
When the show first came out, we'd keep telling people, yeah, we've seen one of those. Because literally for those first couple of seasons, at least one thing in those episodes is something we'd seen.
So you said you see all kinds of things that come into the store. Some are weirder than others. You've assembled some of them here. Explain to us what they are.
Sure. And we've got, an antique bubble-blowing Popeye here. Again, the tin, the metal toys, we mess with those if we got something like that. We've got a World War II French pistol. We see a lot more of World War II items now that generation is kind of passing. We're very familiar with those, as well as inexpensive watch. Again, there are name brands out there that some people might not know. We know all the expensive name brands. We can definitely help you out with those kind of items.
And there's a lot more where all these came from.
Absolutely there is.
And whether you're going to bring stuff in to sell or to get a loan, Steve has some simple advice.
It's shocking how different an item looks with Windex and a paper towel. Don't be afraid to clean your items before you try to sell them. Simple things like that. Don't be, remember the remote. If you're coming to bring us a TV set, the remote's always going to give you more money. Make sure you bring the remote with you. Simple things like that as far as making sure things work.
The state of Maryland has measures in place where anything that comes into a pawn shop is now filed into a computer database.
When somebody brings something to us, we're getting a photocopy of their ID, we're entering in all their information, their name, their address, their phone number, their social security number.
On the opposite end of all of this, some people go to pawn shops to simply shop, like Jerome Fitchett of Federalsburg. When we caught up with him, he was buying an Xbox.
The price difference is way, you save a whole lot of money.
So we've all heard the term cash for gold, but there's a big misconception.
Well, and people remember that last year it hit that record high, and certainly it's been going down since then. And it's one of those things where if you have some extra broken pieces, some stuff you don't care about, your silver dollars, it now really is the best time to get rid of it because the price is going down and you don't want to wait till next year when it's going to be worth less.
Steve says when you do go into a pawn shop, make sure it's reputable and a place you trust. Because at the end of the day, it's all about finding or making a deal.
I think with the economy, people are a lot more price conscious. They want to save a buck where they can, and I think there's a lot less of a stigma now with used merchandise.
Yeah, I got mine on that bubble-blowing Popeye. Just a reminder, Crazy Louie's has 2 locations in Salisbury. There's one on South Boulevard, and the other one is right on Route 13 in the northern part of Salisbury.